So, you've just finished watching Interstellar. Again. And you're still wondering, what the heck did I just watch? And how is any of it supposed to make sense? Well, I'll do my best to explain all the complicated parts to make sure you understand it at least somewhat better. So the movie starts out in the near distant-ish future where Earth is suffering from chronic famine as all the crops are being killed by blight and dust. It's supposed to be reminiscent of the Dust Bowl in the 1930s. And actually, some of these clips from the beginning of the movie are from Dust Bowl survivors. So the United States government is trying to find ways to keep humanity alive. And Mr. Dr. Brand, this old guy, believes the solution is to find a new world to live in. And this is where we get to the first thing that might be confusing. The equation. What is the equation that he's trying to solve? It's referred to as the gravity equation in the movie, and was the only way Plan A was going to work. Plan A was to take a large amount of people off Earth into giant space stations. These stations would house humanity until they could find a new planet. However, getting these massive stations off the Earth's surface would be impossible through traditional means. There's no rocket on Earth strong enough to lift them up. But if you could find a way to control gravity, you could lift anything off of the Earth's surface easily. And that was the equation he was trying to solve. Mr. Dr. Brand tried to solve the equation himself, but without the data from the black hole, they didn't know enough to figure it out. So when Cooper enters the black hole with TARS, they were able to collect the data and send it back to Earth. Now that we're on the topic of the black hole, let's talk about time manipulation, specifically with gravity. We all know who Albert Einstein was, right? One of the smartest people who ever lived, helped make the nuke, and came up with the theory of relativity. The theory of relativity is split into two parts, the theory of general relativity and the theory of special relativity. We only really care about general relativity, particularly the part that says, as gravity increases, time slows down relative to an outside observer. So in this scene right here,
it's time. The gravity on that planet will slow our clock compared to Earth's drastically.
Well, every hour we spend on that planet will be 7 years back on Earth. That's relativity, folks.
What Romley is trying to say is that because they're so close to the black hole, the gravity is incredibly powerful, and it's slowing down time on Miller's planet. The time still passed just normally for Cooper and the people who went to Miller's planet. So why did 23 years pass back on the Endurance? Well, that's where the second part of my earlier statement comes in. Relative to an outside observer. Imagine you have three different groups. Romley on the Endurance, Cooper on Miller's planet, and the people back on Earth. From Romley's point of view, the people on Earth are moving at normal speeds, while Cooper is moving at a snail's pace. What takes the people of Earth an hour of Romley's time takes Cooper 7 years of Romley's time. And so this is the whole premise of what happened on Miller's planet, and why it was such a big deal that they got slowed down. That 45 minutes of waiting cost them 5 years and 3 months. Hopefully that explains the whole time slippage ordeal. It's a pretty mind-blowing topic and seems very sci-fi, but is a real phenomenon and they portrayed it pretty accurately. The last thing I'd like to help explain is the entering of the black hole. At the end of the movie, Cooper and TARS detach from the space station in order to lower its total weight. This lets Miss Dr. Brand and Case have enough velocity to get to Edmund's planet. Now, once Cooper enters the black hole, all scientific accuracy goes out the window. Humanity has never even gotten close to a black hole, let alone sent a person into one. We have no idea what happens once you're there. Likely, you'd be ripped apart and crushed by the immense gravity before you could find out anything useful. However, for the sake of the movie, he had to survive and get the information to Murph somehow. So the writers went with the idea of the extreme gravity allowing him to time travel. Cooper alludes to the theory that the aliens who placed the wormhole there and saved him were really just future humans who have mastered gravity. This isn't very realistic because that means that there's a time loop. In order for Cooper to be saved by the future generation, he had to get the data from the black hole. But in order to get the data from the black hole, he had to be saved by that future civilization. This doesn't work because we know one of them had to have come first, thus making the time loop impossible. The only way the time loop would work would be if there was a third party who existed outside of time, irrelevant to these events. The most obvious choice being God himself. So maybe God could have orchestrated these events, but otherwise not realistic. And that's okay. It's a movie, and it ties everything together really, really well. Literally everything, down to the last book that falls when Cooper leaves, it's accounted for. The binary coordinates, the Morse code message of stay, and the first handshake, really, really phenomenal storytelling. And then Cooper is spit out of the black hole and winds up by Saturn. This is very feasible because he was probably shot back out through the wormhole, which was near Saturn. Hopefully, this explains some of the questions you might have about the movie. I know it's been nearly 15 years, but it still continues to be one of the best ever made. Leave a like, subscribe, check out some of my other movie videos if you're new. I think you'd like them.